Hi everyone, this is Nate. I am so glad to see you again today. And we are approaching the month of October. I know September has been a very difficult month for everyone, I believe, with the two eclipses, lots of energies. And so as we approach October, I decided to take your questions. And so I really thank all of you for asking questions. And I will be sharing my predictions right now with your October questions. And it's not just for October, it's obviously for what's yet to come. And I wanted to thank all of you who took the time to ask their questions. I will also announce who won the free reading at the end of this show. And of course, for this show as well, as you probably know by now, there's also a reading with me to win. In order to win, it's very simple. There are three things to do. You have to like, you have to subscribe, and you have to comment. And if you like, subscribe, and comment, you're automatically entered in the drawing. So I will announce who won at the end of this show. So let me start. We will be talking about the US, we'll be talking about Canada, and a few questions about the world. And I will finish with a reading for the collective for the month of October. So a reading for all of us as we are watching today. The first question is from Maria Perez. Will we, the people, save our democracy? Thank you for all you do, and we appreciate you. And obviously, when I hear this, I'm getting a very strong yes, that yes, democracy is under attack, but democracy will survive. And we, the people, are everyone that are involved either in protests or activists or voters or even in the legal matter. So there are a lot of people who are going to be fighting in their own ways, and this is what's going to allow to keep our democracy. Learning to Live 619. Will the Congress step in to help the Affordable Care Act this upcoming month so millions of Americans won't be financially crippled from healthcare insurance premium? And I do feel like, yes, there will be actions and support to prevent what is currently yet to happen with the cuts in the Affordable Care Act and the increase in premiums. Will it absolutely resolve everything? No, but I feel like steps will be taken to help with the situation. And I do feel like this is part of the discussions regarding the budget and the shutdown. Uh, GHFTP. Will anything come from Donald Trump's post confessing that he ordered Pam Bondi to go after his political opponents? No, I don't feel like there's going to be an impeachment with that or any kind of legal issue. There should be because it was absolutely wrong, but I don't feel that there will be. What about the home and bribe? That I feel there will be more issues coming up legally for Tom Homan in 2026. And I actually do feel that more secrets and more information will come out of Tom Homan and the whole ICE situation, the $50,000 bonuses. There's a lot that will yet to show, and this I do see some legal action in 2026. D is asking, will the Supreme Court stand up for a First Amendment? And I do see, obviously, as we know, the Supreme Court is biased. And so I do expect some mixed support from the Supreme Court. Not completely supportive of fully the rights of the people or the Constitution, but also not completely giving Trump what he wants. They are pretending to give some sort of illusion of not being biased, but I feel like there will be a mixed result here. LF1666. Will hate in the US be over? I have no hope anymore, and I know a lot of us feel this way. Can you shed some light with that? The rally, I believe it was the CK Memorial, was really taken a toll on a lot of people, and LF is saying the US has fallen, I'm afraid. I hear everything you say, but there's still a lot of good people. That's why we need to be strong and unite, because what we see is not everyone. And there's a lot of people who feel the same way we feel, and that's what this community is about. Atre Black Blalak. Why does the far right not wanting people taking vaccines? What benefits do they have to get their agenda worldwide? They are using theories to push this policy. However, is a gain from a sick population. This is also being the same playbook used in Canada. I feel like this is coming from an action of creating chaos, creating stress, diversion, and it's also controlling people. The more people struggle, the more they can control people, whether people are sick or afraid or um, lacking, support in their education. The more people struggle, the more people they can control people, the more they can push their agendas. It's the same fascist techniques. Ahmadine, Trump is using his ex-close friend's newspaper for defamation, and now his administration is allowing Murdoch to apply for partial acquisition of TikTok. Will this transaction go through, and under what conditions will go? So, will Murdoch acquire TikTok? Will Murdoch acquire TikTok? Will Murdoch acquire TikTok? I want to look here with my other card here. Will Murdoch acquire TikTok? I see money. I see a forward movement. So there's definitely a sense that there's an interest from Murdoch. Will Murdoch get TikTok? It's interesting because I'm not seeing the complete transaction, but I do see that there is a lot of money being put and interest. Look at this money here, 7 of coins. And so it's interesting because it doesn't show me a deal going through, but I get this sense though that there's a strong interest. So is there a delay or the transaction not going all the way through? But Murdoch seems to be, I would say, on the short list and very well positioned. It's just like I'm not seeing the deal going all the way, so I'm not sure why, but they seem to be in a very good position. Will Jimmy Kimmel make any chance to his show? Yes, I do feel that there are certain guidelines that have been discussed and boundaries, and I feel like he needs to stay within certain guidelines and boundaries. Um, In your opinion, what will be the short-term consequences of recognizing Palestine? And I feel like this is going to put more pressure on Israel. And I feel like more and more countries will recognize the state of Palestine. And in return, it will put pressure on Israel to go for peace, basically. But that also involves the release of the hostages, which is also the main priority, peace and the hostages, in addition to the recognition of Palestine. But I feel like there will be push for some sort of end of the war and release of the hostages. We're looking at Leota Kelsey. It's pretty evident that someone needs mental health and has too much power, and people were aiming to take the US to a place we don't want to go. Will someone call for the 25th Amendment to get them out soon. So basically, will Trump leave because of the 25th Amendment? I feel that Trump, and you know that what I mentioned before, like I've always said the same thing. I always do see him doing the full term unless he has a health issue, and I do feel like a health issue will prevent him to do his full term. So a health issue will be him forcing him to step down, and it might not be. I'm not sure that the 25th will have to be declared. I feel like they might talk to him about the 25th and he will have to step down. I don't get the sense that they will necessarily have to go there. I feel like he will recognize that he is in such a situation that he will have to step down. Remember that I saw him on a wheelchair. I saw him with surgery. All of that I still see. Auntie Vaughn, the US owes approximately $3 billion to the UN. Will the UN be able to retrieve that money, or they have to wait until 47 has passed? I feel like the UN will get that money back, but yeah, I feel like it will have to wait until a new president comes. And I feel like it will be in 2028 after the new president coming in 2028. Diane Silky, what is happening to all the tariff money? Is it going to the hands and pockets of those inside the administration? Yes, I believe that there's some corruption. I believe that some of these tariffs money get to people that are in the government. I do feel that the Supreme Court will not have a complete answer to what to do with the tariff. In other words, I feel like some money will have to be returned, but I don't see all the tariff money being returned to the countries. And so I feel that the money that Trump made for the country, or the corrupted money, some of that will have to be returned, but not all of it. In other words, I do expect that the vast majority of the money that came with the tariffs will stay in the US and also stay in the hands of people who benefited from it from a corruption standpoint. And I'm sorry. Naomi Seedberg, will they get to the bottom of the CK shooting and reveal the plot? I feel that this is going to take a long time, and I'm getting years and years and years before I will show you my cards, before we know the result of this investigation here. Look at it with the CK shooting, the cards that I got. Death, the Tower, and then the World. And so it feels to me like, yes, at some point we get to get more information, but it's interesting. The World is showing up almost as if there could be some influences outside of the United States. Yeah. But I feel like this is going to take a long time for those secrets to surface. Sunny is asking, why is the Supreme Court allowing Trump to ruin our country? Because a number of justices personally benefit, whether they own stocks, whether they own businesses, or their family own businesses for entertainment purposes only, they benefit directly or indirectly. Kim C. Governor Mike Kehoe changed the district map. He broke Kansas City into 3 districts. The 5th district is Congressman Emanuel Cleaver. There are 3 lawsuits against the map. You see, do I see his map being tossed out for gerrymandering? So this is the 5th district. Will the map being tossed out for gerrymandering? I get the feeling that yes, there's a disappointment here, there's a burden, and I feel like at the end people are happy about the result. So I feel that for that fifth district in the lawsuit, I believe that the map will be tossed out for gerrymandering. Jane, and I know you emailed me as well regarding this question. I just watched David Pacman's show released. Bombshell claimed Trump did not win the 2024 election, manipulated. This is an interview with Nate Taylor, Election Truth Alliance. So, if this is true and if the evidence is forthcoming, how can we continue without Harris as our president? And what are there to expect in the next new year, 2026, as far as election integrity? Well, I think you've heard me say before that more information will come in terms of what has actually happened, but I see this evidence being more and more there, but I don't see the link between the evidence and a change in government. In other words, like either because it takes too long or there's a lot of pushback from the Trump administration, also legal blocks. But yes, I see some of the evidence coming through, but I don't see it enough to make the change. In other words, we might see Trump stepping down because of his health before that. We might see other changes in government before that. What my feedback chain would be is that yes, I believe, and I feel like I mentioned this before, we would see more data, but it's just a very, very slow process. And I believe that other events will take place before we get to the handling of the consequences. Now, for 2026, we will be talking about that in a little bit, but um, it's actually the next question from M. Turple. Will there be cheating in the 2026 midterms? Yes, there's always some level of cheating, but at the same time, less consequences. And I feel like we'll be able to prevent um, some of this because of the information that we learn from Election Truth Alliance. So the information that we learn might not be able to make the change in government right away, but at least they will help with the integrity of the midterms. So that's still a very a positive. And I do see the House turning blue in the midterms in November 2026. Engelag. Is Erica Kirk in the Epstein files? She worked for the Trump Miss America pageant and was in Romania and Eastern Europe recruiting girls. Will her efforts be successful in continuing the hate speech with Turning Point USA? I feel like she's there for the money more than anything, and I don't see her in the Epstein files. Was there some indirect connection? Yes, but I don't see her technically in the files. Simply superb stuff. Will the Epstein survivors band together and release names of their perpetrators? And if so, what will the impact be? Yes, I see more names, and I feel like it will create more legal issues for the perpetrators. Again, I feel like this is for 2026. ACM Life. What event will cause the majority of the Supreme Court to follow the Constitution? I feel it's when they stop benefiting. That's what I was talking earlier. Like actions from Congress, for example, after the midterms, when they stop benefiting from the the Project 2025 agenda. and some of the financial benefits that they've been getting. And that, I believe, is when there will be different views from the Supreme Court justices. Christina Miska, will Stephen Miller be allowed to play a part in the new administration if Vance takes over? Will the horrible immigration raids continue? Yes, I see the ICE raids continuing, and I do feel that if Vance were to take over, which I feel he will for a short period of time, when Trump steps down because of health, I do feel that Miller will be there. But I keep seeing more and more in a shadow position, meaning like maybe no official title, more it's still going to be very, very involved, but I see more and more shadow around him. Maybe not with like a title of advisor or anything like this, but still very present. MM Gaston, when will the administration change leadership? Well, change leadership, it's when Trump leaves. That would be after his health issue. And as far as direction, after the leadership in Congress, after the House turns blue, then obviously there's a lot more that can be done here to stop the 2025 agenda. Maria Del Mar Gomez, and you have two questions, and you are from Puerto Rico. Is there any extraterrestrial activity around Puerto Rico? Yes, I do see actually quite a bit of ET energies around Puerto Rico. Will Puerto Rico become a state? Yes, long term, but I feel like this is going to take a long, long, long time. I'm getting like at least 10, 15 years. Babette 3, why is the transgender community always being unfairly targeted? This is true of LGBTQ, this is true of disabled, this is true of women, every kind of minority. But I agree that the transgender community has been hurt a lot more with this administration, a lot more. And I feel like this is pure cruelty. And also because it really brings a lot of question in terms of gender and identity. And I think just because this is such a deep question. And so I feel that it is really questioning, particularly conservative people, on their own identity. Melissa, 2353, will we get a hurricane here in Florida? Yes. I do see a lot of rain, a lot of wind, a storm. Will we be using some power? Yes. And I feel October. And I feel October. Surrounding states, yes. I do feel like lots of wind. I keep seeing a lot of East Coast, South, water, wind, storms, water, water. Just 444. Do you see the US housing prices coming down anytime soon? Yes, I do feel that. I do feel that in the fall and the winter, but it depends on each area. Lina Milling, will the stock market take a big dip in October? Yes, a dip. I feel like there's going to be a drop in October. We always talk about October surprise, and I feel like that might be an October surprise. I know that I've been predicting this for a while, and I just keep it seeing coming, even though the time kind of shifts, but I feel it. Soraya Soul, will impeachment be started for Trump? I feel like his health issues will happen before an impeachment can be done. GHFTP, could you take a look at the upcoming midterms? Yes. I do feel that, like I said earlier, like the House, I see it blue. The Senate, I don't see a color yet, so I don't have a prediction on the Senate. I feel like there will be some cheating, but not in massive scale. Dr. Nebula, do you see the Supreme Court overturning gay marriage? I see the Supreme Court bringing it back to the states. Lynn A.W., after Trump's disappearance a few weeks ago, he returned in improved health, maybe after a surgical procedure. Will his improved health continue through October? No, I feel more health issues in October, November, December. The improved health, like for example, he looked, there were moments that he was looking a bit better in the UK, but this was very, very edited. And I feel like I don't agree with the improved health. What we saw as what looked like improved health were based on edited photos, selected photos, and I feel like there's just a lot of they're more on top of it. But I don't think his health has improved. Babs Prince, what about the H-1B visas? Yes, the fees for a visa went from like $200 to $100,000. What's gonna happen with that? The H-1B fees. This is crazy. This is to reduce immigration. He believes that this is gonna give more money, but again, I don't believe that this is gonna help. This is gonna be under attack. I feel like there's gonna be a lawsuit and something will have to end. So I don't feel like it's going to be able to hold that $100,000. It feels like it's going to be blocked or pushed. I don't see it getting all the way. Ahmadine, will self-censorship progress in American media? Yes, in mainstream media, more and more self-censorship. That's why we see a lot of YouTube channels, a lot of parallel information system coming through. Lena Milling, is Trump leaving the presidency in October? No, I don't see that. Lauren Cisneros, what about the military not following the Constitution? I do feel that there's a lot of tensions inside the military. Some are more wanting to go with what they're supposed to do, which is protecting the Constitution, but they also receive orders from Trump and exit. So a card on the military. I see a lot of infighting inside the military in terms of priorities. I see Trump, I mean, some of it is influenced by Trump, and I feel like the vast majority, they're like following orders. They know certain things aren't right, but it's kind of a wait and see. That's what I was getting with the Four Swords, is a wait and see. Maybe they're waiting to see if maybe something I feel like they're waiting to see if something very obvious would come and they would have to act. They don't feel that something I know a lot has happened and maybe they should have acted differently, but it's a wait and see for something that is more obvious. Will Carrot Levitt be fired as Trump's press secretary? I don't see her staying past the midterms. Will there be Patricia and Garita? Will there be a war with Venezuela? I see more attacks. I see more fire. So I don't know if it's a full-on war, but I feel like there will be more actions. Annabelle Gard, what is going on with Baron Trump? He's not in school and he didn't go back to the UK with his family. And then Susan Parker responded, it's been reported that he transferred to the NYU main campus this fall to their DC campus and is living in the White House. Would be interesting to know why this is true. How is he overall? So let's see what's going on with Baron, who's now 19. Baron Trump. What can you tell me about Baron Trump? Baron Trump. What's going on with Baron Trump? I see the influence of Melania. Page of Pentacles, that's him. There's an interest about money or giving money. There's a disappointment. There's a disappointment. What is he disappointing about? Oh, there's like some infighting. I feel like there's some infighting between the brothers and sisters. There's alliances and then there's infighting. I feel like there's issues with the Trump kids not getting along. And I get the sense that is involved somehow. Very interesting. If you have an idea about that, just comment on it. That would be a good comment. The Diana Rich Chiardelli, with home prices decrease in the Northeast as in other parts of the country, they will decrease, but maybe not as much. Rob, how much do you see the stock market going down, and when will the market recover? The Dow, the Nasdaq, and the S&P. That period of October to December, I don't think it's good for the stock market. And January doesn't feel good either. I feel like the recovery I see around more around the spring next year. Lori Alcantara, will Elon Musk pay a price for his corrupt ways, making trouble out in the world? So what's going on with Elon Musk? Oh, he seems afraid of something. Fear, and we are not hearing from him. His relationship with Trump, lots of issues there. There's some news. We're gonna hear from him soon. Obviously, he's very focused on his money, and I think he's trying to repair his relationship with Trump. Yeah, Trump, the emperor. Will the Skydance company acquire Warner's Brothers? And will this huge monopoly is being broken? Will the Skydance company acquire Warner Brothers? I don't get the sense that it's happening. I don't see that. I feel like they're discussing it, like juggling. The King of Pentacles is like slow, and the Tower, something big happens, but yeah, the Fool, like something maybe even stopped. So maybe the transaction doesn't go through, but it might not go through because of the monopoly of the antitrust, something like this. Susan Parker, will the current cabinet members and senior advisors all remain in their positions if Trump passes away? They will for a short period of time. Then there will be changes to the cabinet when when Vance takes over. Lean therapy is the far-right group Groypers, somehow involved with the assassination of CK. I'm getting a no. Kathleen Castle, the outcome of the Affordable Care Act during the next 5 years. That's a really great question, Kathleen. The Affordable Care Act, the ACA, within the next 5 years. The ACA within the next 5 years. I see the Affordable Care Act under attack, Nine of Wands, but I see Three of Pentacles holding up, and I'm getting strength. So, yeah, I feel like it's going to be under attack. There may be some cuts, but I feel like it's going to hold. I hope so. Uh, Trump and Musk, are they going to be? That's a question from Anna Popovich. Trump and Musk in love again. Trump and Musk. Trump and Musk. The Empress. The Empress is Russia. The connection point, it's a triangle. Trump, Musk, Putin, and I think it connects this way. What will be the future of their relationship? Tower. Lots of problems between them, and I think this is what we saw of in money, of course. Musk trying to rebuild, but yeah, it feels like there's a lot of damage. Susan Parker, when Vance takes over after Trump passes, can you look at whether he will be in office for a short time? Yes. Will Vance run for president in 2028? No. No. Lynn AW, uh, will the truth be revealed for the assassination of CK? I mentioned that earlier, so it's a little bit of a repeat. What I said that is, I feel like it will take quite a bit of time, and I see a foreign influence. Maria, Nate, how do you see the governor's race in New Jersey and Virginia this November? I see both being Democrats, but much easier for Virginia than New Jersey. It feels like it's tight in New Jersey. Braveheart, are some of the states planning to leave the Union and become individual countries? No, I don't see that happening. Just to learn, will the social security checks come on time? I believe this is in reaction to the shutdown, and I'm getting a yes. The checks will come on time. Leticia Marquez, do you see Pam Bondi stepping down? I see her leaving in 2026. It feels the spring. Defender of Light, will the crypto market rise and fall in October? The crypto market in October. I see movements in October, but I don't feel like this is like a crash. And it feels more like movements, like waves. Blazinging. Will Tylenol sue, which would be Johnson and Johnson? Yes, I feel like there will be a lawsuit. Diana Ricciardelli, when do you see Trump and his administration leaving office? Well, I see Trump leaving because of health. Do you see Democrats winning back Congress in 26? Yes. A Democrat president in 28? Yes. AQs 3333. What positive change can we look forward in the US in terms of getting our democracy back in October? That would be a number of lawsuits that push back on Trump. Will there be a shutdown similar to 9/11 in the US in October? No. Will anyone interfere with Kamala's tour? I'm getting a no. Heidi in Connecticut, the US economy in April 2026. The US economy in April 2026. I see no growth. It's like it's not a recession, but it feels like zero growth. Connie, when will we get better quality food in the stores without paying a fortune? Not anytime soon. Food will cost more money. There will be more inflation, especially with tariffs and also the challenges around food safety. Lovely Divinely, 1,200 immigrants are missing from Alligator Alcatraz. They've disappeared and their names erased from the ICE database. Their loved ones and lawyers can't locate them. Where are they and will they ever return to their families? This is crazy. I have not seen this information, so I'm taking it as a as true. What happened to the 1,200 immigrants missing? from alligator Alcatraz. The 1,200 immigrants missing. Money? More money? The King of Wands? That would be Trump. Officials. The Two of Wands, it's interesting because you see the globe here. I get this sense like they're overseas. Knight of Pentacles, like I feel like there's a trade with money overseas. Will they return to their families? I'm getting a yes, but it feels like it's not soon. I feel like those people are overseas and they're struggling. Three of Swords. I get the good news, Nine of Cups, but it doesn't feel like it's anytime soon. I feel like they're overseas and they've been deported wrongly without the records. We're moving to Canada, literally. Um, Terry the Out. Pierre Poilievre is the leader of the opposition in Canada. Will he be going to a leadership review in January because the Conservative lost the federal election? Will he survive the leadership review? Will Poilievre survive the leadership review? I'm getting a no. Nine of Wands, Five of Pentacles. It doesn't look good for him. Strength reverse. I rarely do reverse, but this one came reversed. Pierre Poilievre. No. No. I'm getting a no. Flo Snyder. What is the outcome of Canada's new energy projects? Will they become successful? The outcome of Canada's new energy projects. Will they become successful? I feel like they will be successful, Ace of Wands, but I get like a lot of pressure to stop them. Like I feel like there's going to be discussions about them, and I feel like some of them might be stopped, but some of them continue. I feel like it's going to be reevaluated. Lots of money here involved. It's almost like not everything's going to go through on those energy projects. Like there's pushback. Angel Stone, what do you see for Canada's future in the next 10 to 20 years? Will we continue to grow and prosper as a sovereign nation? Will we join the EU? Will the USA continue to be a threat? I don't think the USA will continue to be a threat, I feel, after the next presidential election. But Canada's future, 10, 20 years. I see a leader, a male leader. I see a lot of healing. I see the country on top of its game. That's encouraging. I feel like a lot of people living that, to me, it's like a part of the government of some thinking that's transitioning out, but in a good way. A lot of healing, good decisions. It's almost like the country seems closer, more like, I wish this could be the US. The country seems more united, and that I see more healing. I see more changes. I see a transformation. I feel like a lot of the constraints are lifted. I see some money, and I see more fairness and justice. I feel like the people leaving are leaving because corruption is found and they're asked out. I see more progress, financial progress for Canada. It's actually a good outlook. Start with Gina. The real estate market in Canada in 2026, real estate market in Canada for 2026. Real estate market in Canada for 2026. I think it's stable, solid, and stable. I don't think we're way up. I don't see it going down. Europe. Kathy McLaughlin. I wanted to know if Europe is going to be safe now that Putin seems set on trying to get a reaction from Europe with all the drones and other things he's doing. And then Engalag is asking if Russian military drones shut down Copenhagen and Oslo airport yesterday. Will this escalate? Safe skies over Europe. It's not the sky, it's also in the water, in the ocean, in the seas. It is very clear to me that I think there's been like 20 different strikes and they claim them as mistakes. They are not mistakes. I feel that this is going to be a real challenge. I feel like Putin is asking to provoke NATO and Europe. So let's read on this. What can you tell me about Putin provoking NATO and Europe? I saw like an airplane being shot. Okay. Putin Is Putin gonna keep provoking NATO and Europe? I feel like something will happen. Five of Cups, the devil. Six of Swords, that's transportation. I feel like there's gonna be an attack to an airplane. And no longer with drone, I see an attack to an airplane. Will there be a reaction from NATO? I'm hearing yes. Tower. I don't have a timeline on that. Yes, NATO. It feels to me like this doesn't lead to like a World War III or anything like that, but it would be Russia attacking an airplane, and I see NATO responding. We'll see what happens. Next question is Zodiac Cafe. I try to live by spiritual principles using meditation and prayer. I would love your insight about whether human beings will develop more telepathic skills, empathy, and compassion with AI and technology. No, we're not going to be turning ourselves into robots, but we'll be using AI for communication. And I mentioned in a show that I do see using AI as a way of communication with animals and with the spirits and with our ancestors. And that's really, really exciting. Direct communication with animals, direct communication with spirits and ancestors. I see progress within 10 years here. Um, all right. This was our last question. Actually was a very nice question. And I want to do a reading for the collective for the month of um October, and that will be from my Oracles of the Whales. And so a card for the collective for October, a card for the collective for October, for all of us in October. Ocean embrace, comfort. Ocean embrace, comfort. I feel that doesn't necessarily mean that we will feel comfortable because obviously a lot of things are going go on. But I think it's a message to find our comfort, find ways to be comfortable, find ways for small joy, whether it's a cup of tea, whether it's some music, whether it's to make someone smile, but embrace comfort, find comfort Find your comfort zone in the middle of the craziness. Find your comfort zone in the middle of that craziness. All right, we need to talk about who won the reading, and it's congratulations to Andrea Hamilton 1431. You've you've won 3 questions with me. Andrea Hamilton 1431. You want to win a reading? You like, you subscribe, you comment. Make sure that you're still subscribed, as YouTube subscribe can unsubscribe you. Lots of fascinating show this week. I am doing a collab with Violetta on my channel. We have a Meet the Psychic Press this weekend. I will be on Sherry's Voice of the Swamp channel on Saturday. Tomorrow, Thursday, I will be doing mini readings, mediumship mini readings with people, your ancestors from the other side. And so Michael is fantastic and will be with me live tomorrow, Thursday. So lots going on here. And soon with Ness to talk about the energies for October. So all of that before the end of September. Happy October. Thank you so much for being here. And please remember, like, subscribe, comment, and you're entered for a reading. Thank you.